These are the highlights of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. Welcome to TRS Clips. Make sure you hit that bell icon and don't forget to subscribe. What do you think of Virat and Anushka?
In what way?
What do you think of their zone in life? As a cricket fan, I'm actually happy he let go of captaincy. And I think he's going to come back to the forefront.
Yes.
Nandini and me had this subject called PE Bio in school.
God.
Okay, so in your 9th and 10th, you're supposed to pick a optional subject. And
PE bio.
we picked PE Bio. So you know
Yeah.
what PE Bio entails? It entails basics of sports biology, but it also has rules of cricket and football. So
Oh.
homework used to be going and watching sports.
Wow.
So Nandini nerded out on sports. And
Dude, but like I was the only person who was actually studying because I didn't know anything about like the sports or their rules or anything. And all of these guys used to just
Are
sit
discussing,
and faff.
hey, offside rule.
Dude, we legit had, that was a 5-mark question to write a long
That
doc.
was actually, and you had to draw a diagram and stuff, and like also like do like we had that like power play thing, and we had to
Yeah.
like draw a diagram of like how
Power
many
play
people
में-
will be here during a power play.
Inner ring के अंदर कितने fielders
that,
होते
that was the question. I'm not making this shit up.
Do you remember our bio book, the kidney and its kuttu color?
Yeah.
Kittu color.
Anyway, what do you think of Virat and Anu? What do you think of Virat Kohli from the outside? Because you don't watch cricket regularly anymore.
No.
I'm sure you have a good brand image of him. Ki great brand वगैरह. What do you think of him as a legacy-based, celebrity? Like, what do you think his legacy is going to be in the long term as a celebrity, according to you?
I think it'll probably be along the lines of him being a very well-respected player. I think when Virat Kohli had first come into the game, he was like, I guess like there was a lot of
Brash.
vitriol. Yeah, so he was brash, right? He was like that very typical Punjabi, like, teenager, like just like hopped up on energy, like with his like cussing.
You speaking about?
No one. I know other Punjabis, man. Like, what are you saying?
Anyway, go on.
But like, Virat Kohli has like aged in public with grace, despite starting out at a place where he was like whatever, right? People used to like kind of write him off as just like some badly behaved cricketer.
He also, merit-wise, he exceeded expectations a lot. Like, people didn't think he'll become this good. So, cricket fans know his worth. Like, they're like, okay, we've seen this guy not only mature in the way you're saying, but also as a player. Like, he exceeded expectations heavily.
Yeah, and Virat Kohli honestly is like living proof of what you can do with your life if you like, just inculcate good habits, like you like live with discipline and you live with like openness and positivity and you work on yourself actively. He's like an example of like how far you can actually go. Of course, not everyone has Virat Kohli's potential, but like, he has taken that potential and like run with it.
Dude, so there is this whole sort of vegetarian vegan movement has taken over the sports world. In NBA, it's there. There is a player called Chris Paul in NBA who's like this really senior NBA point guard, which is the main position. Okay, and this guy used to keep getting injured, switched to plant-based, and his injuries all actually have like fully stopped. And he's been consistent for 2 years after like 5 years of being injured almost all the time. So there is this sort of like plant-based angle happening in the sports world. And a lot of older athletes take it up. I've studied sports science as a trainer. Jitna I have understood, and also after turning vegetarian, what I strongly feel is you do lose a certain amount of power. Okay, like you definitely lose some strength for sure. There's something in animal protein that just helps your body recover really fast and helps your body grow to another degree. Okay, in contact sports, you need that excess amount of power. Usually, like someone like LeBron James, someone whose game is like a little bit more about power hitting. Like in cricket, think of
Rohit Sharma.
yeah, no, like a low order batsman who has to just smack the ball.
Right.
Andre Russell, someone like a
Right.
fast bowler. These kind of people would probably need that excess amount of power.
Right.
But older cricketers, especially, or older sports people who are dealing with injuries, lately, a lot of them have started switching to plant-based, or at least are talking about plant-based. I think even LeBron James has openly
Bro,
spoken
some of
about
the topmost athletes, Lewis Hamilton is plant-based, Novak Djokovic is plant-based,
I
Virat
think
Kohli is
when
plant-based.
you get older,
Yeah.
it has benefits. Like it can extend your career. That's my reading of it from the outside. It's too early to say anything. There's no
Yeah.
research about this, but what I am noticing because of being a fan of different sports is that lots of people are turning plant-based, and there must be something, dude, because these are the top athletes in the world. So their nutritionists are obviously the top nutritionists in the world.
Right.
Something must be up. So I kind of think that.
I mean, you've attested to it yourself, right? That after going vegetarian, like you felt like a lot of health benefits in just
Yeah.
like terms of how you felt physically, mentally.
Yeah, a lot.
So I'm sure that is also like something that plays into the
See, I know for a fact I felt like mental benefits a lot. Like I felt calmer. I felt less stressed. And they say that when your stress levels are high, your cortisol levels also shoot up. Cortisol is a harmful hormone for your body.
Right.
You want less of that in your bloodstream all the time. So maybe it's because I was just calmer. My healing mechanisms were better. Definitely lost muscle, lost size, lost strength, lost power. But I wouldn't go back at this age. Maybe at 23, I think being non-vegetarian was fine.
But
because of my
having
priorities
been
then.
vegetarian for so long, do you feel your power has come back to
No,
close to where it was even?
No, it could also be age. Like footballers, like kind of start dipping around 28, 29, which kind of makes me feel weird, dude. Like, you know, when we were kids and we used to watch sports, I was talking to, I think, him or Nachiket yesterday about this, that when you saw 28-year-old, 29-year-old sportsmen, you'd say to yourself that, yo, that person's getting old. And now
beyond his
we are
peak.
28, 29.
Yeah.
And we're noticing changes in our body, dude. Like priorities, body, just things are changing. So become a conversation about aging.
Yeah. If you want to talk about that, I can talk about it till the cows come home. Like I wake up with back pain every morning now. Like it's
No,
like
let's talk. What do you think of Anushka Sharma? What's up with her? Like, what's her pop culture legacy?
I don't know, but I feel like she's a strong producer. I feel like, see, the thing is that with like all the actresses, they fit into similar niches, and I feel like they can probably be interchanged at some point. But I think Anushka Sharma, like off screen, is like very well put together, and she's like very self possessed, and she's very like, she comes across as very like independent and like ambitious. So I feel like she will probably end up making like really great films, but I think that she might not be an actor in all of them. I think she might like do like the production route because she is good at it. Like,
Because you're a 28-year-old lady, what happens to women in the late 20s and early 30s? Because what I'm noticing is, and I also notice this in guys, okay? But what I notice in women is there's a lot of aging-based conversation. Why is that? Like, what happens to women who are hitting their 30s, especially in, say, media, where it's a looks-oriented industry? Are there some narratives that women are fed about like aging?
I mean, it's not like an out and out narrative. It's more like the subliminal messaging of the thing. Like, like any girl child, right? Like, whatever media that you're kind of exposed to, like when you're growing up, all of it only has people who have like picture perfect bodies or like picture perfect lives, right? They don't like, obviously, with when you grow up, you kind of realize, and which is where my pinch of salt thing comes from, right? That you grow up and you realize that you're only seeing what they want you to see. But like when you're growing up as a child, like you start thinking that, this is what I'm supposed to look like. And then what tends to happen is that like you start to feel like a little bit like of self-loathing, because like you're like, why can't I do that? Like I'm trying my hardest, why can't I look like that, right? And you start to internalize it over time, and that leads to kind of low self-esteem, and it can lead to like, you know, women just like most women I know have some sort of problem with their body. Most men I know don't tend to think about it.
What do you think?
No, I mean, I don't think that's entirely true. I also feel like a lot of men are going through like body image issues and insecurities and all that. But
Maybe they
I
feel
agree it's not.
uncomfortable to say it out
Yeah,
loud.
for sure. That's the case. Definitely, I don't think like guys discuss like body issues.
I've
per
never
se.
ever spoken. No, I have. Like a little
Yeah.
bit here and there. But again, that's because we are in this industry.
Yeah.
I don't think
No,
if-
but I don't think it happens actively like beyond that.
Like I've
as
never
well.
discussed anything with like, say, I talk to you because you're my manager. about
Yeah,
these
like so
things.
you like because it's part of the business, like,
Yeah.
and
Not
it may
my, like-
hamper it, like, and all of
Yeah.
that, but not with like your personal like best friend or
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
like
the
that.
conversation with men somehow is not normalized. With women, I guess it's kind of like getting there. It's not normalized by any standard still,
Right.
because like the average standard is still what the average standard was like 20 years ago. But I appreciate that it's getting there. It's just that like maybe it'll just create a little less self-loathing, you know, in the world, because like people don't necessarily have to live up to some standard that some like Vogue magazine has designed for you and decided that "Acha, this is the standard you must live by." Plus, sorry, what was the question?
I told you to make the podcast funny, Nandini, and you made it serious.
What
You
was the
asked a
question?
serious question.
Whoa.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like what happens to women in their early 30s?
Okay,
and
so
all
like
that. What the kind of question is that? Like what do you want?
So what happens to women when they turn 30 is that they grow a second head. Okay. And it starts to like show up.
Hey, fun answer.
It starts to show up from behind and it's like, get married, get married, get married.
So
Pop out
is
kids.
this with all women or is this with specific?
I think it's with specific weirdos only. Like the head thing.
That was a very nice satire with like a twisted angle. And all. She said that a head comes out and tells you to get married, but she's actually talking about society.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
layered.
So deep.
Layered.
Fucking writer.
So
man.
deep,
Pound,
bro.
pound.
So deep. Oh Lord. Please don't. Please don't.
Love it, love it, love it.